My man, it is good to see you again.
It's good to see you too.
Wow. Okay, I just left the theater last night and I was like, this is incredible. Was this, it seemed like an intense role to play. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was just sort of this consistent kind of powerlessness and then just getting kind of hit with news right and left. This character's kind of hit in the worst ways. But in a way, in the book, that he gets his due in the end because he's written this book, even though the character in the book gets kind of beaten up. And it is a real metaphor for heartbreak, so kind of the way it feels when those things happen in our lives.
Were you familiar with the Tony and Susan book before?
No.
Really?
No. Mm-mm.
I wasn't either. I
No.
mean, this is the first, time I had heard of that story. It's kind of like a story within a story.
Yes.
Tom Ford, working with him, what was that like?
I had all these strange prejudgments about Tom. I knew him from afar, met him at different times, and obviously have a tremendous amount of respect for the empire that he's created, a fashion empire, and he's always done it his way, which is incredible. But I was worried. I thought, well, first he sent me the script, and I read this script, and it was just incredible. I mean, it was one of the best scripts I had ever read. There's maybe a handful of scripts I could say that about, and it was one of them. And I went, whoa. Tom Ford wrote this? I was trying to look back, halfway through going does that say script by Tom Ford? Oh, wow, And then I talked to him on the phone and I was really worried that it would be all about aesthetic, that it would all be about how it looked and he just started talking about how personal the story was to him, that he had been through so many things in his own life where he has tremendous regret and heartbreak and choices he wished that he had made differently, and looking back on his life with all this supposed conventional success, feeling like maybe he hadn't succeeded in many places. And I just went, this is a man who needs to tell this story and who was open and vulnerable. And I went, this is not what I expected and exactly what I wanted.
Let me ask you about one of your co-stars in this film, Michael Shannon.
Yeah.
I love talking with him. He kind of scares me a little bit in real life. He's
Really?
one of those guys. So I kind of want to ask you, you have a lot of the movie with him. What is it like to work with a guy like Michael Shannon?
I mean, he's one of my generation's greats, I mean, he's a true craftsman, in a time when I feel like craft is really sort of falling away, particularly in acting, where I think there are parts of the world where you can find it and where it's appreciated. But here it's all about a sort of different type of success. He is always focusing on character, on story, the sacredness in front of the camera, which I believe this is the same. I think it's a sacred space. It deserves our respect, it deserves our hard work. He's alive, he's listening constantly. There's so many metaphors you talk about when you talk about acting. People talk about tennis. With him, it's like the most complicated chess game. And it's great fun. I adore him. I think he's hilarious. So I've known him for a long time, and it's so nice to have people come in and we're talking throughout this day and hear how many people love him and love his work, because I felt that way for a very, very long time.
Awesome. I went to a party with him. And that's when he really became a little quiet guy, but
No, he was at my Christmas party. He was at my Christmas party last year, and we were all caroling. It was super loud. Everyone was caroling, so it was like a caroling party. And he got up on the amp, and he was just out of tune.